Hello and welcome to the Best Today podcast. I'm Shantae Grant, and today's episode is so good. I want to get right into it. Today, the day this episode is released is March 14th, 2022. And this time of year, we celebrate Best Today because March 16th, 2020 is the day that we launched the Best Today guide for pre-order. And it really is such an important part in our company and our story, not only because it was when we launched our product, but it also happened to be a very unique time when we did so. And so to celebrate that 2-year mark, I couldn't think of a better way to celebrate than to bring together women who have been using the Best Today guide almost since we started. If not since we started, they started shipping out in September of 2020. And so we are talking to women who are on their third or more, somewhere between third, fourth, fifth, or sixth Best Today guide, about what it's been like being a Best Today guide customer, user, how it has helped them, their experience. I want you to hear it straight from their mouth. And so we are in conversation and I'm letting you in on it. So when we gathered together for this call, there was no script of any kind. We just got together and talked about, like I said, everyone's experience. Every woman's going to introduce herself, tell you a little bit more about herself. So I'm going to let you in on this conversation and then I'll be back at the end. So before we get started, I'd love for everyone to introduce themselves just so that everyone knows who's here involved in our conversation. So I'll let you get started first, Emily.
Hi, I'm Emily, and I am a working mom to 3 elementary school age children, and I live out in California.
Excellent.
Hi, everyone. I'm Leah. I am a higher education professional in Texas and a working mom of 2 boys in elementary and middle school.
Hi, I'm Melissa. Sorry, I'm not on screen. I have a cold and I'm really not fit to be seen right now. I am a freelance graphic designer and art director and moved to California in the middle of the pandemic from Philadelphia.
Hey guys, I am Robbie. I am Director of Operations for a realtor here in Northwest Florida. Mom, wife, we have a blended family, and I just love living an active life.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sarai. I am a mom of 2, a soon-to-be 10-year-old girl and a 3-year-old boy. And I live in North Carolina and work as a scientist.
Hi, everyone. I am Stacey, and I live in Scotland and am a single woman who is a chemistry teacher. So I teach the high school pupils.
Hi, everybody. I'm Tamika. I live in Maryland, and I'm a mom of 3 boys. 2 older, they're 21 and 22, and the youngest is 11.
Hi, I'm Teresa, and I'm mom to 4 and married for 30 years now, and in a transition right now with work. So I'm currently not working, but I am a coach. I'm a life coach. But so I live in Texas, just outside of Houston. So that's who I am.
Hi, everyone. I am Whitney. I am a mom to 2 younger kids, 7 and 2, and I work as a paralegal legal secretary in Southern California. And nice to see you all.
Thank you all. The California contingency feels very strong today. It's usually very heavily like East Coast. And it's so funny. But I was like, okay, California is representing strong today and just the West in general. Okay. So the point of our conversation, the thing that all of us have in common is that everyone here has used the Best Today guide consistently for an extended period of time. Everyone here is on their third or more Best Today guide. And so what I want to know for me and for our listeners, of course, is I want to know, why did you give it a try? This is a product that at the time of this episode going out was just released into the world 2 years ago, and they weren't even in our hands until September of 2020. So it was something that was new. What made you, whenever it was that you decided to try this, because it was a brand new product and a brand new concept, what made you decide, I'm going to give this thing a try? It might be worth trying. I'd love to hear some of your answers on that. Like, why? Why the Best Today guide?
Well, I think I was part of the pre-order group because I remember ordering it and not getting it for a little bit. So I've just started my 6th Best Day guide a week or two ago. And I think the timing of it was actually perfect, even though I'm sure when you put it out, it seemed crazy because it was the start of the pandemic. But I think just having all the big transitions going on, and with working from home and having the kids at home more, and just trying to kind of figure out what our new normal was going to look like, because once summer 2020 hit, we realized this is not going to be over anytime soon. So I think it was the perfect time to try something new and kind of recenter and refocus and like figure out how I was going to juggle and balance all the different life changes that were happening in the middle of 2020.
Yeah, it definitely did not feel, it felt like the right time when I knew that's when we were going to launch it. But then when reality hit, like the weekend before, I don't know what I felt. It was pretty scary, but it ended up really being a really great time. And even the timing of when they landed in people's hands, a lot of people said September just felt so right, because that's when people were transitioning back into school or transitioning to like, oh, this virtual thing is going to be a whole thing. And they felt like needed it even more. So I'm grateful that the timing worked in the end. But yeah, you're right. It was a little scary at first. I wasn't sure what was going to happen. Anyone else?
Hi, Shantae. This is Whitney. But I found your product when I Googled planners by Black women, because that's who I was interested in buying from. And I had previously been using like a bullet journal system for several years that had worked really well for me. But with the pandemic, I felt like I didn't want to write anything down. Like I kind of was like scared and like didn't want to like document what was happening, because I was just kind of wrapped up in how I was feeling. And I wanted to ease myself back into that process. And when I found yours, I really liked that it was like you were teaching principles and methods, and that it was something that I started doing in a bullet journal. I was like doing it in my own notebook. So I was like, okay, if I can do this in my own notebook, then I know that this is a process that'll work for me. And I don't know that I was part of the pre-order group, but I think I was part of the group that ordered like after everything arrived. And I just really liked that you were very like principle focused instead of just like product focused, I guess, is what I really appreciated about where you were kind of focusing your time and your energy. And it just worked really well for where I was at.
Yeah, I love that principle focus versus product focus, because a lot of what we do, and that's why I even say we build everything on 4 principles: proaction, intentionality, self-awareness, and self-love, because those are the things that are leading. If we do anything, I always say, which of the 4 can we connect it to? And it always has to be one or more, because I know that principles will work across different geographic zones and ages and stages of life, because we get to take their principle and apply it to how it fits us, as opposed to saying, okay, everyone do this one thing at this time, this one way. Doesn't work. Isn't realistic. So I like that dichotomy that you noted out, Whitney. Thank you.
I definitely liked that, along with what everyone's saying, the timing of it when it came out in 2020, that this was a tool that could be used whether I had this book or not, right? Like, this is something that, well, I definitely during a pre-order stage, you could just do it in your notebook and understand like, okay, how do you have my best today? And I loved how approachable that is and how like centering that was at that time. And like you just said, making it fit for you personally. And all of us, like, I bet if we hold up our guides, like they will all say so many different things. And I love so much how you could personalize it. And I felt like that was way more approachable and what I needed at that time. It was a great outlet in 2020 for me.
No, go ahead, Stacey.
I was going to say I agree with Robbie completely, because I pre-ordered on day one when it got released, and I just started writing it in my notebook. And I really liked the fact that, like, you know, you didn't have to, I needed the perfect page and it had to be the planner. Like, you could just take the information and write it down. And I found it was very freeing starting it out as a notebook page, because it kind of gave me the space to think, okay, yeah. And I realized that actually, yes. Then by the time it was released, I was like, I was a lot more excited for it, because I was like, yep, I realized that it was working for me. And I really like the fact that, you can just start wherever you are.
Yeah. Someone actually, a business person, reached out to me and she was like, you need to take the pictures of your best today guide off your website. You just need the cover. You're doing too much showing people inside of the product. And I was like, have you ever shopped for anything in life? Right. First of all, because I know for me, I want to see the details. But number two, I was like, if you listen to my podcast, like I have podcasts, YouTube, like I'm telling you what the steps are. Number one, because our mission is to help women. Like that is at the forefront of everything that we do. And so if I have information that I can help you to apply, then I'm not fulfilling my mission in helping and giving that out. Like you can learn the 3 steps here on the podcast. I've broken them down. I'm sure I have multiple videos. There's a video for every step on our YouTube channel, because I want you to understand that these principles will work for you and that they're doable, and you can even start doing them right where you are right now. If you decide to become committed to it, it makes a lot of sense to do it inside the product that already has it laid there for you. But I love that you shared that also, because I want people to know what the steps are, because I want you to take hold and ownership of them, maybe even before, because I know a number of people, they bought the Best Today Guide, but they've sent us pictures of how they just bought a plain notebook and just want to see, like, does this really work? And they notice, okay, it works well in this blank notebook. It's going to be even better when I have the thing that's set up. So I love that you said that. And it made me think about that person whose advice clearly I did not take, to take everything down and not show inside of the product. Because again, everything that we do is focused on the customer and providing you the help that you need. Our website is our employee that never takes a day off, right? It's always going to be there for the person who wants the information, and it would be a disservice to take that down. So I'm really grateful to hear that. I would love to know, what were you using to plan your days before? Like, were you using a traditional planner? Were you doing more of like to-do lists on notes? I'm always interested in, a lot of times people say, who is the Best Today Guide for? And that person is multiple people. But a lot of times I found it people who tried traditional planners and it didn't get the results they wanted as far as like within themselves. It was like stuff was getting written down, but it didn't really feel like it was changing you for the good as well. But I'd love to know, like, what was your system before for any of you? Sarai?
Yeah, I can share. So I was someone that just loved to collect planners, goal setting guide. I mean, anything. If it looked like plannerish or something I could do something with, I would do it. I would buy it, I should say. I didn't do it. So I think that's what I was using before. I was using a combination of like a daily planner, but it was very to-do list heavy. It was like an agenda on one side and then your to-do list. And then I had this overarching goal planner, which, was overwhelming to me. And so I kind of had the two spectrums of things. So I had a daily to-do list, and then I had these big nebulous goals floating around out there, and I could never get them to connect. And I think I think what didn't work for me with those systems is if you're someone who just kind of likes to do your own thing and does not feel like, you get paralyzed when you feel locked into a certain very strict structure, it's easier to just put it down and go off and do your own thing. So I had the stuff, and then the rest, what I was really doing was kind of just living out of my head and, by my wits. Didn't really work. So, the Best Today Guide is kind of can work for anyone that likes more structure, or someone who also wants to kind of feel like they own their day, and you get the chance every day to start over. You have your priorities in place. It's very clean, and you fill in what you want, and it's aligned to what's going to get you where you need to be. And so I've actually stuck with it. I think I'm on my 4th one or so, which is I have a graveyard of empty planners that I never completed before. So I think there's a little bit of something for everyone.
I love that. I love that. The graveyard of the pretty. I was guilty of the pretty journals because I was always like, I'm going to write in this someday because if it was pretty, and especially if it had a cute word or saying, so I understand that place where things go, but it's like you're not actually getting the benefit of it. I always say it's like buying your favorite meal and just looking at it until you engage with it and eat it and digest it. You're not going to get the benefit of it. And that's definitely the same thing. There was something else you said, Sarai, that I love. You said getting them to connect the big picture because you had the big picture goals and then the day to day, how you couldn't get those two to come together. And it is so important. That's why we talk about vision each day and why we ask you to think about what you want, because I think the more you can see how they connect to each other, the more likely we are to remember and be more intentional about the choices we make in the day to day. Because you realize this is dropping a pebble in some bucket. I'd like it to be dropping a pebble in the bucket for the future I actually want. So I just love hearing that's worked for you.
I've used the power sheets, which I know you're familiar with, definitely with goal setting and looking ahead and mapping out your year and everything. But then also a notebook. My league always had that notebook, and I still have those collections and notebooks. And she introduced us to this way of taking down your notes for each day and carrying it over to the next day. And along with that, you can journal and you can look back and flip back. Okay, what was I thinking? What was that day like? And so to a certain extent, I was bullet journaling a little bit, but it was just a notebook, and power sheets is pretty much what I used before.
I know for me, using traditional planners, I always had the high hopes, kind of like what Sarah was saying, of filling them out. They were pretty and all of that. But it was very self-defeating, and especially as someone who tends to be perfectionistic, thinking when I didn't fill it all out or anything like that. Whereas the Best Today guide, I find I'm so much more intentional and kind of like along with what you always say, we need to be before we do. And it's just been so much more freeing for me, in so many ways. I mean, and kind of like you're just talking about with that vision, where we have that vision section every day. And so it's been hugely helpful for me to use it. And I have no idea what number Best Today guide I'm on. And I bought it, I've been a follower of you for a year. So anytime you put something out, I buy it because I trust you. And like you said, you have you're very mission driven of knowing that you're for women. And so I trust you for whatever you put out. And so, but yeah, the Best Today guide, to me, I have used them and keep buying them. Whereas every year, I don't even bother. This is the first year I think I didn't bother buying a traditional planner, because I don't use it. I use my phone for important appointments that I have to have an alarm go off or a notification for. And I, look at that the night before when I'm filling out my Best Today guide to put those in there too, if it's something specific. But yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I love that this and I've had that question of like, can you use it in conjunction with a traditional planner? And my answer is, I'm sure you could, but I think you find that you can do the things that you want it to do in there. In the Best Today guide, it really can give you that roadmap you need for your week and for your day, all in one place. It's just, for me, that I think the uphill climb is people are like, I need something different, but can you make it look like everybody else's stuff? And that's what I get asked so often. And I'm kind of like, well, you want a different result. I have to create something different, because that was the whole point of me really wanting to create the Best Today guide. It was for the person who this hasn't worked, or it worked for this, but you want more or you want different. Because for me, I wanted a tool that also allowed women to get back to themselves as beings and not something. I think if you pick up a product and it says 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., you are going to start looking at your day as, okay, what am I doing from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m.? And there's a line there. I need to fill every line out. Or if I'm seeing bullet dots, I need to write all the things that could possibly be done. And, as you all know, in the Best Today guide, when you're planning the next day, the last thing is the things that you're going to do. That's the very bottom of the page. The first stuff is about you, because what my hope is that after using this for some time, your brain is going to start thinking about you first, just like it does every night when it plans. And you're going to find yourself making better choices, setting boundaries, making decisions, and even thinking of yourself, because it's one little practice every night. The last thing you think of are the things you have to do. You want to think about your morning routine. You want to think about your mental, emotional, physical well-being, all those things. I really am hoping that that consistency will start planting seeds, that your mind will begin looking for the things that you need in your day to day. So it's like very intentional how I wanted to set this up. And so it's always rewarding to hear that vocalized back to me. So I appreciate that. Melissa, I had a question for you. You mentioned that you moved during the pandemic. Were you using the Best Today guide before the move? And if so, was that helpful?
So no, I wasn't. I had been doing a bunch of, like other people have said here, I love planners and I've tried lots of goal things. And when I moved, I gave up my teaching job and started freelancing. So it was, and I don't have children, but it was still obviously a huge upset in my life. And I felt like I needed something else. I'd also done bullet journaling, which I enjoyed, but I felt like it took too much time because I was one of those people who like to make things look pretty. And I read about power sheets and from a friend who had gotten some. And then when I was looking into that, someone on, I think it was a Facebook group, said, I also use this Best Today guide in conjunction with the power sheets. And I thought, that's really interesting, because I was worried that the power sheets would be too much of I'll do it all at the end of the month. I won't take care of everything I need to do every day. And to be honest with you, I'm so impressed with everyone in this call who has, uses their Best Today guide exactly how it's supposed to be used, because I am still struggling. I'm still learning. And that's one of the reasons I keep using it. I'm on my 5th Best Today guide. I use power sheets and I still use a daily planner because I find that my problem is that I love that I think about my morning routine. I love that I think about what I do for mental, emotional, physical health. That really helps me focus. But I still have this problem where I'll put too many things on my results and outcomes list. I know that I'm looking at it as a to-do list, and I know that's not how it's supposed to be used. So if you're familiar with power sheets, you'll find this kind of amusing that my tending list always includes, finished everything in my results and outcomes list. Because part of what I'm trying to train myself to do is not put so many things on the to-do list. And it's really obviously been a slow process for me, but it has been changing slowly. And I'm just trusting that eventually I'll get to the point where it's doing for me what it's supposed to be doing. And it has been a huge help since we moved to just have something to focus on. So it's working, Shantae. It's just slow.
At Best Today, we exist to help women just like you be your best one today at a time. So each week on the podcast, we are going to highlight your stories and your voices. So let's see what's in the inbox today. Today, we have a message from Tiffany who says, I just want to say that life is better together. Although we are miles apart from one another and we may not know each other personally, it is such a joy to be in a community with like-minded women. I'm getting so much more accomplished because I'm in a community with you all. I love it here. Tiffany, we love to hear it. This is Tiffany leaving a message about the Best Today community. Are you a member of the community? And if not, girl, where you been? Come on and join us. Go to besttodaycommunity.com to learn more about our digital community, which not only is available to you online, but also on an app available for your Android and or Apple phone. Let me tell you, this community is such a special and safe space that we have built and created and cultivated. It is active and engaged. It is full of support, accountability, encouragement. It is a place where you can come to share the up, down, and middles of life every single day, anytime, with women from across the globe at different ages and stages of life. I am so proud of the community that we have built, and hearing and watching firsthand of how you all are coming and surrounding one another with what you all need. I I can't say enough, but because we're already in a longer episode, I'm going to stop and get back to this episode. But Tiffany, thank you so much for sharing about the Best Today community. Let's get back to this week's episode, but don't forget to go to besttodaycommunity.com, and also remember that your order of the Best Today guide gives you your first month of the community absolutely free. So order your Best Today guide at besttodayguide.com, or if you want directly into the community, besttodaycommunity.com. Slow is good. Slow and steady wins the race. I just think about the example from Atomic Habits that still I think is just such a phenomenal example that applies here about the ice cube. And you sit it there and you keep turning it and nothing is happening. You take it from 1 degree to 2 degree to 3 degrees. And you're turning and turning and turning. And that ice cube, it's still an ice cube. But something happens. I don't know what the number is, but let's say around 32. From 31 to 32, that thing starts to melt. And it's like, you could say 1 through 31 were, why did it take so long? Were useless. But those things were building up what needed to happen at 32. And we can't get to 32 by skipping 1 through 31. And it's a process. And I created the Best Today guide. I use the Best Today guide. And I think I get better at it, or I guess I love how I can tweak it and change it based on what I need in that season. I was just sharing in the community how lately my vision for the future, I usually have always written about like my big picture life vision and things that I really want to be true when I think about my life. But lately, for me, what I have needed is to write about what I am working through right now, the hopes that I have for my company and the things that I really need to be true now. And so that's how I'm using my vision for the future, because every morning writing that out, some things that feel impossible, feel hard, feel challenging, writing them out as if they were so is so helpful for me. And so it's using it in the way that I need in this time. And so there is no one right way, which has been mentioned, to use it. And you can change how you've used it. You know, like I have done that with the vision for the future. And that's been so helpful for me to write about the things that matter to me, like right in this instant that feel really real. And writing about them in such a victorious way every morning really has been helpful for me. And so keep trusting the process, Melissa, and understand that like over time, you're going to, even if you start limiting yourself, say, I'm not going to fill out every line. Like I will not allow myself to fill out every line of the results and outcomes this week. Maybe I'll leave 1 line blank. And then next week I'll leave 2 lines blank and like, just see what happens even there. But I think slow and steady is the way. It lines up with how I teach. So you're not alone in that. So just know that. Tamika, what about you? What's been your Best Today guide experience?
Actually, it has provided me structure. Having a special needs son, the Best Today guide has been godsend. It provided me structure because I can work on myself, as you know, making sure I set my emotions for my day, my mental, so I can be upbeat or in a steady pace, just to provide him a comfort. And you know, even when I send him off to school, I try to make sure, you know, he's, you know, ready for school, not just ready with clothes. I want him to be mentally prepared. You know, we play music in the morning, so, you know, he can have a happy day, you know, and sometimes he would see me writing and he would ask me, what is it? And I say, plan. And one time during virtual school, he wrote that as a sentence in his morning sentences. And I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And I was like, man, so, you know, it's not only I'm making plans for my day, but he's seeing what I'm doing and stating that that's what he does as well. So the whole structure and keeping us basically grounded, and it's been really wonderful. I really love the Best Today because my emotions was like everywhere, and it has pretty much settled. You know, it's like I can approach my day with a positive attitude, no matter what happens. It's like, oh, well, I already said this is going to be my best today. I'm going to do this for the day. And when I see something, you know, that's not positive, I will, you know, do one of my things that I said I was going to do for my mental or my emotion. I'll look back and it's like, you know what, let me tap into that again and listen to another podcast or read a page, a book or something, or just journal. And actually I use part of my best today guide as a journal in the corner. So it's been really good.
I remember when you sent that picture to me and he wrote out about having his best today. That is like, I mean, that got me. I just love that.
It was wild. Yeah.
Yeah, they're watching. They're watching, and they're watching. They're picking it up. So I love that. Erica, we just had a new person join us. Hey, Erica, can you introduce yourself? We've just been talking about the Best Today Guide, why we got it, and how it's going, basically.
Yeah, sorry, I misjudged the time difference. I'm on the Pacific Coast.
Oh, no problem at all.
And I realized I'm like, no, 3 hours. Yeah, I've been a Best Today Guide user. I'm Erica. I've been a Best Today Guide user for quite a while now. I think since like the beginning of the pandemic. I started with the Right Now routine, saw an ad on Facebook and got into that, and then it led me to the Best Today Guide.
Excellent. And yeah, I think it's so funny. We talk about you all in team meetings. Like, I feel like especially, we know our customers, and we know our customers who are on their third, fourth, fifth. And so when you said, I was like, yeah, I think you are about like 4 or 5, because it's like, we talk about the people, because that is who we're in the business for. So as you said that, how has your experience been with using the Best Today Guide? How has it been helpful for you, Erica?
It's really great. I struggle with depression, and I work full time, and I'm a grad student. So it really does help with the depression of like just focusing me on that day, that moment, rather than a whole big thing like oh, I have all this grad school to do, I have all this work to do. It really focuses me on this moment, this today, and really helps to know my priorities, and like you always say, being intentional. That blew my mind about the productivity versus being intentional. So I really helps me, not focus on my depression, not focus on being overwhelmed, but getting things that I need to do done. And then at the end of the day, like realizing all I've gotten done, where if I didn't have that, I would have just procrastinated and been overwhelmed with all the stuff I have to do.
Thanks, Erica. Yeah, you brought up a lot of words that I like to highlight. Procrastinate is one that we hear a lot. The O word, as I call it, is another that we hear a great deal. And my hope is with the Best Today Guide is it helps you identify, like, why are you even procrastinating? And that's why before you even get to the weeks, there's those beginning pages where you talk about maybe identifying that and what is it that you can do to kind of overcome those things like the procrastination, and what's causing the O word, as I call it, my word for saying the overwhelm, because I think it's such a powerful and heavy word. One of the things I would love to hear from y'all too are, you mentioned Right Now routine, Erica, but are there any other Best Today resources that you use in combination with, or not necessarily in combination with, but in addition to the Best Today Guide, and how those have worked together for you? Because my intention is to surround you so that you can't get rid of me, basically. Like, that's literally what I told someone recently. I was like, I want to be all the places. So when people come and say, how are you in my head? I'm like, yes, because that is my job. Or they're like, I was about to do this, but I heard you in my head say this thing. That is my intention. Like, that was not by mistake. That's why we have the podcast, giving you something every single week. We have this community that you can always come to. I really want to hear, like, how, if it relates to you, how any of our other resources or products kind of have helped you with the Best Today Guide, or that you use in conjunction. I'd love to hear if any of that's true for any of y'all.
Yeah, besides the Best Today Guide, which I think helped me kind of get kind of my days and weeks less overwhelmed, and kind of along those lines, once I kind of got that process down and started seeing how I could apply the principles to other aspects, I have the monthly calendars, and I have for 2022, where it came with 2 pages each. I got one right in front of me right now at the top of my desk that has kind of my workouts and meals and kind of my stuff for me for the whole month. And then I have one, on the side of our fridge that has all the kid activities or things that are going on for the family. And I also have used the yearly big the whole year out on a big sheet of paper so I can kind of outline and see even bigger picture of when kind of our big family events are, when my kids are in sports, when we're taking an annual vacation, and then seeing the empty space too is so great. So I know that if we're in a busy season, that an empty month is coming soon, so we can kind of recalibrate and get some things done that maybe didn't get done during the busy season. So it's just helped me kind of take the planning principles and apply it to not just work things and not just family things, but kind of all together, and kind of keep everything a bit more organized and big picture down to day to day.
I love that. Theresa, were you about to say something? Oh no, Sarai is unmuted. Sarai, okay, we'll do Sarai and then Theresa.
Oh yeah. Okay. I think I have everything, all the different products, and they do all work together. And I know you say that you do that intentionally, so I don't feel guilty about getting everything, because I do have a tendency to amass items that, but they actually do all fit together. I've gone through some of the online programs like the Right Now Routine and Clean One Room, and I actually have done those multiple times because I'm someone that needs the repetition. So I'll get a routine down, and I have been building those habits and working through them in my Best Today guide as part of, what it is that I'm doing. But sometimes I have to go back and start over if there's really something new that I really know I need to build a routine around, sometimes based on like that part of the Best Today guide, what do you need to stop doing? Sometimes it's because I need a new routine. So those types of things, that all works together. Same principle with Clean One Room. I've used the meal planning pad, which I found helpful because it was very simple, but I just kind of built it into, again, part of my routine. And it was something that was done, and then I could put it onto my weekly plan and have a plan for actually making the meal that day, which I could put into my Best Today guide. So I've kind of integrated everything in my own way, and I think everyone would do it differently. But yeah, they do all work together, and I've been very pleased with that. And then the Plans Be Done pad has been great because those longer term things, those are the types of things I would kind of just let sit in my head until I get anxious about it and then realize it's too late. So I really do try to be intentional about at least starting it. And the first couple of tries did not go that well because it's a practice. But, I'm kind of building up that muscle of being able to plan and forecast, and it's getting a lot better. So, yeah, I've been kind of just try everything out and make it work for me.
Yeah, I love that. And you're right. I am intentional. There's no two products where you can say, well, if I do this, it goes against this. That doesn't happen because everything, again, built on the same principles, it's going to help you in that every product has a different intention and specific goal for you, an outcome for you, but they all work together. Theresa?
I would say the Plans Be Done for sure. I call it the crock pot for planning, because you just set it and forget it. And I even will share this amongst you all. And our oldest is getting engaged this weekend. And I attended the first workshop for the Plans Be Done, and then I bought it when you had it because I'd already gone through it, but I had her look at it. And it's a formality that they're getting engaged. They already knew her fiance's in the Army, but they had to start planning because they're getting married this summer. So I had her go through it because she was getting so stressed out. I'm like, you need Shantae's Plans Be Done. You need to go through this because there's no need for all this overwhelm and getting stressed out. So anyways, I absolutely love it. I love all your stuff, but I just really think, like I said, you just set it and forget it once you do it, and it just takes the overwhelm out of it, in my opinion. But anyways, it just really helps. So like I said, I love all your stuff, but I really think that the Plans Be Done is so helpful. I know I sent you the picture. My mom turned 80 in October, and I used it to plan that. And it just really, when you actually are doing it, it can be a little bit, I know Sarah just said it can be a little bit confusing at first, but once you get it and you start doing it, like I've been using it to clean out closets, to clean out things and all of that. So anyway, I just love it. So anyway.
Yeah, I would say the same as Sarah and Theresa. Like I've basically used everything. I was like, oh, Shantae's putting out a new product. Better go see what it's about. And I really love them all. And one that particularly lately that's been really beneficial for me is the Clean One Room. So was it January, I just decided to do one little bit at a time, and I did the kitchen, which was quite a big process, I must admit. I followed the steps and did the kitchen, and I was always a struggler for, gotta do the dishes. It's such a chore and a hassle. And then now that I've done the kitchen, everything has a space, and like now I just get up and do it and don't even think about it. So that's been really, really good. And so my house basically has been clean for like a whole month now, and it's like, what happened? Like, I was never like this. So it's like they're totally transformed my environment, which has then really helped me to implement all the other things that I'm wanting to do, and the things that get put off, and all the things that bring me joy, like, because I've been spending all my time cleaning. So for me, it's Clean One Room's been really good. And I think just a community for myself. I really love the community, and I post fairly regularly on there because I just think it's so great to be able to see what other people are going through. And I love the, people can pick us up when we're feeling a bit down or need some encouragement. And it's just encouraging to see people from all sorts of walks of life, like, coming together, and, we're all so different, but at the same time, we're all wanting to be a better person and to be the best version of ourselves. And I find that community really, really encouraging.
Yeah, I love that. As I sit here and listen to y'all, I'm just trying not to like smile my face off because I hear my mother's 80th birthday party, engagements, getting my home clean to a place where I'm like, oh, well, it's done. And that will affect your mood and what you feel like doing in your home. And like, these are the things, right? That for me, this is why we create these products and resources, because it's like your real life. Like this, it helps you in your real lives to actually be able to live, because all the other stuff that used to occupy your mental space, your physical space, you've now been given tools to put those where they go. So now you can focus on the things that are exciting, like planning your mom's 80th birthday. What a blessing. So for me, that just really makes me excited to hear how it all does come together and work together for you all. We're getting close to our end time, but I did want to ask each of you, one, if you have anything else you want to share, please feel free. But what would you say to the person who's listening and they are like, yeah, I've heard about this Best Today Guide thing. It sounds hard, or like it's a lot of steps, or I just don't know. What would you say to that person who is just thinking about whether the Best Today Guide might work for them? I'll let you guys just share as you like.
I would say maybe start with the one thing today, or that little planning pad. I actually did that for my friend who is not neurotypical, and I showed them the planning, the Best Day Ep.54, and they were like, oh, it's too overwhelming. So I bought them the little planning pad to just start with something that it's going to focus you on taking care of yourself first, because you can't take care of anybody else if you can't take care of yourself first. So I would say just start small, start with one of the products, or even if you, as a friend, can afford it, gift them that product, because it's not that expensive.
Yeah, that was the intention of a lot of those products. One of my friends said it was like the Best Today Guide had all these little babies, like the weekly preview or the Today's One Thing or the morning and evening routine. I understand maybe if you take one of the concepts and build the consistency there, you're going to see the wins add up. And then you'll get to a place where what felt like, it's like when you first start lifting, if you go to the gym and try to pick up a 50 pounder, that might be the Best Today Guide. That might be a little hard. But if you go and pick up a 5 and you start lifting that a little bit, and then you're like, okay, maybe I can go to a 10. That's the thought there was, how do we help people who like the concept and like what it's saying, but it just for them, it would be too much to take on all at once. And so I'm glad you pointed that out. That's the exact reason why I created all the smaller things to help you baby step your way into these principles and practices.
I would say just try it. And don't be afraid if you miss a day, a week, come back to it. I had periods. I'm about to start my sixth in about a week and a half. And there was probably a month and a half that I didn't touch it. And it was a really low point. And I realized what a difference it made. And I don't know, I think having used it for, I mean, if you count the writing in the notebook, like many folks have mentioned, almost 2 years. And I would say, and my husband would probably say, I'm a different person. The peace that it brings. And I think just encouraging people to try it, whether it is the notepad, whether it is stepping out there and doing the Best Today guide, give it a try and don't let it be that other planner that it's not dated. That's the great thing. Like if you miss a month, just hop back in, right? Like it's not like it's a waste or a loss, right? Like you don't have to think about it that way. But it's there when you need it, and you can reconnect if you miss it, and that's okay.
If I was wanting to help one of my friends, and I've been someone that bought the Best Today guide for other people, like it was my birthday gift of choice in 2020 for a couple of my friends. But today, I would say to just trust you, and I start sharing your photos, or not sharing your photos, but sharing your videos when you do videos and when you're explaining how this works and how this is beneficial. And I love how you share your life and your consistency. This is something that you believe in. Like I know that in itself is so powerful and so influential. And so that's honestly where I would start with some people, right? They need to see that you as a creator believe in your own product and believe in your principles, and that you're carrying them wholly themselves too, you know what I mean? And so that's probably has been like the easiest way I've been able to invite people to jump on or to do it with me, is by just sharing when you give it to us, give us those hard truths sometimes, and just sharing your videos. So thank you so much for your consistency and caring about us as not only just as customers, but as women who you care about and who you value.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that, because I think you hit something that's really is big. Trust is a huge factor. I think trust is one of the reasons why so many people or a lot of people in business use social media, because it is one way to kind of take down some of the walls and say, like, there's a real human behind this. And for me, what I hope I'm showing is not only do I truly believe in this, but I'm living it, but I am also living it and showing you how, like even today, I wasn't sure if we'd have a 3-year-old run in here because my nanny called in sick yesterday. And I knew I was recording this and it was so many people involved that I was not going to reschedule it. So it's just, but in sharing that and sharing, here's what I did to prepare. Here's how, and I want to show you that, there is no, I always say, being proactive and intentional doesn't stop life from happening, but it does present a better you to take on and respond to what happens. And you usually are in a better place to bounce back and adjust and pivot as needed. And I like to be a witness of that as well. So thank you for sharing that. And I think it really is important for the trust factor. And so I'm really grateful. And I do take that extremely seriously, that I have earned the trust of women. And that is not something that I take lightly. And it stays in my mind because I don't want to ever violate that trust. So thank you, Robbie. Sarai, I think you're about to say something.
Oh, yeah, just quickly, and along the lines of sharing, I just share my own successes, and just tell people how it's worked for me. Sometimes it's in, a heavier context, or sometimes it's just a lighthearted, very small win. So it just depends on who I'm speaking to. But again, just really relating a personal experience, I think, has gone a long way.
Yeah, that's very true. When people, because you can't discount someone's actual story, them telling you what's worked for you. Stacey, were you going to say something?
I was going to say, one of the things that stood out to me is you said once, and it's kind of stuck into my memory, and it was, what role are you playing in your own misery? And I think you said that in a live one time, and I was like, kind of like, basically, I was like, whoa, that's like such a, and I thought to myself, like, for someone wanting to try the Best Today guide, I kind of think, at some point you need to let go of your own excuses. And, sometimes it is a lot of we need to be self-reflective. And I had excuses of, I don't have time, or I'm too busy, or I'll try that tomorrow. One of my excuses, and I suppose it was a valid excuse, was that through the pandemic was my nan passing away, and I was like, oh no, I'm dealing with grief, and yes, that is a valid reason, but it's at some point I had to go, right, what can I do to try and move myself away from these excuses and move myself away from feeling sorry for myself, because I want to change, but I feel I don't have the tools to change. But actually the Best Today guide and the Plan One ThinkPad is a fantastic tool that can move you forward. So I just wanted to encourage anyone, if you're feeling a bit stuck and you think, I've got all these excuses, just to maybe put them aside for a month and just test the waters and see how it goes, because I think you'll be pleasantly surprised.
Thank you, Stacey.
Yeah, and one thing I just wanted to add is that a lot of you have touched on this. You touched on it, Shantae, is that one thing that's great about it is how flexible it is. That you provide a structure that helps me focus, that helps me really think about it. But if I feel like changing it up, if I leave a box blank, if I miss a day, that's okay. And it's always there to come back to. And I think that flexibility, but structure, that combination is really what helps me. And that's what I would tell to someone else. Don't feel like you have to check every box. Use it the way it helps you. And that can change from day to day. I've found the same. And that's, I think, what keeps me coming back and using it every day. And that's the advice I would give to somebody.
Thank you, Melissa. Thank you all so much for sharing your stories, your experience with the Best Today guide. Before I close us out, I want to make sure no one didn't have anything else to share or to say. I'll look and see if I see any hands. Oh, Erica?
I would say also it's different than any other planner, pad, resource, notebook, anything, because we have you, we have the community. If you have a question, you can get an answer. I've had planners before, other types of things that are supposed to help you with mindfulness and things like that. And I'm like, oh, what do I put here? What do I do? And I didn't know where to go to where to ask. And you're always available. The community is always available to ask, okay, this isn't working for me. What can I do to change it? So it's such an amazing resource to have a support system, like tech support for the planner, basically.
Yes, I love that. And I remember, I think it was top of last year when Kenya had the idea, and she said, what if we made the first month of the community free with the Best Today guide? And I had been thinking about that. And when she said it, I was like, yes. It wasn't even a hesitation or let's discuss the pros and cons. I said, yes, let's do that. Because in my mind, I think if the end goal is for people to to engage with the Best Today guide, and this is something that's new and different for almost everyone who's using it, then what do they do when they have a question, or where do they go to talk to other people who are also on this journey of trying to use this thing? And what is emotional well-being? And so that was part of the reason why I knew I wanted to create a community that was its really own thing, because I knew if I'm asking people to do something, environment is so important, and being surrounded by people who get what you're trying to do and who can be supportive is really important. And so I'm so grateful for you mentioning that. I think one of the reasons why we do allow it's free for the first month is because we want to surround you with people who can say, okay, yes, that might be, or here's how you do that, or here's what I used to do, or I had that same question, or I had that same problem, or just to really surround you. Like I said, it's another, when I say we want to literally surround our customer, it's one of those ways we try to surround you with what you need. And it's absolutely free. When you get the Best Today guide, you get the email telling you how to get your first month free. And we found that to be so helpful. And we see the results, and we see these stories come from people who we see who are really fully embracing that. So thank you for reminding me of that also. So thank you all so much for joining us and for sharing your stories. I'm going to let you go, because now what the podcast listeners don't get to hear are some secrets that I'm going to share with this fantastic group of women. So thank you all again for your time today. I'm going to end us now, and now we're going to have some secret talk. Wasn't that conversation so good? My face can't stop smiling. Like I mentioned at the end, I shared with the women some things that we are working on that are coming later this year. Can't wait to share more about that with you. But for now, I want to know, what did you think of today's episode? Is that something you'd like to see more on the podcast, hearing from actual customers, Best Today community members? Let me know. You can always text us at 404-737-1002 or come on over in the community and let me know what you think. So excited again just to be in conversation with these women. So I hope you thoroughly enjoyed today's episode. I want to hear your favorite part. If you like episodes like this, any feedback you have is welcome. Again, you can text us 404-737-1002. Come on over and comment in the Best Today community and email us at any time. And all of that information, how to contact us, is in the show notes, which will be at besttodayguide.com/54. For now, I am going to say thank you so much for being present with me and my crew today for this week's episode of the Best Today podcast. Until next time, remember that you are capable and worthy of being your best one today at a time. And you already have everything you need to have everything you want. The potential, the things, it's already there inside of you. Now I want to see you surround yourself with the environments and the people and the places and the things and the mindset to help it all flourish. So go on right now and shout it out as you live it out. This is what my best today looks like. I'll talk to you again real soon on the next episode. Bye for now. If you enjoyed this week's episode of the Best Today podcast, you are going to love the Best Today Guide. Our Better Than a Planner guide teaches you how to get clear on what you want, identify your self-destructive habits and behaviors, and intentionally create space to prioritize yourself every single day. Don't go the journey to being your best one today at a time without the Best Today Guide. See inside its pages and order yours today at besttodayguide.com. Even better, when you order the Best Today Guide, we gift you with your first month free inside of the Best Today membership. So what are you waiting for? We're giving you everything you need to trade busy for intention. Go to besttodayguide.com and order yours today and join thousands of women across the globe proclaiming each day, this is what my best today looks like.